Hey, greetings, and this is today's Liberty Dispatch. Joe Markowitz back here with you again. I felt like this was really timely, so I want to update you on really the state of the affairs, what's happening in our federal government, Washington D.C., and so late last night, the Democrat controlled House late night, just so nobody in America could really see what was happening. They passed two bills. One was to defund the police, yeah, and the second one was a gigantic 800-page bill. They call it For the People Act. It's an 800-page bill designed to pretty much federalize all local elections, to drastically change our elections, and these two bills are obviously very dangerous. And let me comment on the second one, the defund the police. What can I say about that? Let's just talk about the For the People Act. It's an 800-page bill designed to literally redo election law. Now, it sounds very good. It sounds very innocent. For the People Act. And I know that progressives on the left will say, hey, you guys on the right have been screaming all along, we need to reform our election laws. So that's exactly what we're doing. What are you complaining about? Until you really get down to the bottom of it. And I'm going to give you the highlights. Oh, by the way, it passed, I think it was 220 to 210 in the House. Not a single Republican voted for it. So just so when you hear the talking heads in mainstream media talk about, look, we're reforming the election laws, but we're not getting any help from the right. Isn't elections legitimate elections, free and fair and legal elections in the interest of all Americans? Whether you be from the right or the left, shouldn't you have broad-based, bipartisan support for something that is so controversial? And here it is, just now several months after the 2020 election, and now more and more and more evidence is coming out that there was certainly more than enough election fraud to at least to question the integrity of our elections in the fall of 2020. And more is coming out, and there will be more. So I think that's why they're in a big hurry to pass this. But let's talk about it. These are the highlights from all of my research. This is the highlights. That it forces states to extend early voting periods. And why would they do that? Why would they do that? I think it would allow more time for people who are illegitimately trying to harvest ballots and do it as quick as possible. So next one, it requires states to allow felons to vote. I don't have time to talk about and comment on every single one of these bullet points. I've researched many of them. There's more to it than this. Let's keep going. It requires states to have mandatory voter registration. Think about what that means. Is it no longer does a citizen go and register to vote, has to prove that they are a citizen, that they are of age, etc. No, that it requires states now to use like the DMV rolls, or state Department of Correction rolls, or immigration rolls. Any federal government data, it requires them to pull from that data and automatically register individuals. Does it require that they're citizens? And it does leave us open to a lot of potential for election fraud, duplicate registrations, etc. And the whole bill is to register individuals, not citizens. Let's keep going. It mandates mandates same-day voter registrations without verification on election day. It limits the ability of states to coordinate with other states to see if someone is registered in multiple states. It nullifies state law that allows election observers to challenge suspicious voter registration. So no longer can a state, by law, challenge questionable registrations. It would have taxpayers begin to fund political campaigns. God help us. It forces states to adopt permanent pandemic-style or pandemic-like rules, which we saw this last year, which without a doubt, and whether you're on the right or the left, you would agree that there was potential for illegitimate voting, that there was tremendous out of control registrations. You had the mail-in ballots. You had people hauling ballots in at 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it was over and over and over again. This is not to question and do a whole Liberty Dispatch on election fraud. I'm just trying to say this stinks because this forces states to adopt all of those same measures that were questionable in 2020 to begin with. Same-day registration, automatic voter registration, online voter registration, no-fault absentee balloting, which is just the travesty of the mail-in ballots. This bill takes away the control of national and local elections from the states. And we, the people, are saying, no, this is not an act for the people. I'm going to call it, this is called the For the Corrupt Swamp Act. Let me finish up with this. It bans voter ID laws. If there ever was a time that revealed that we must have voter ID laws, my goodness, I have to have an ID to get a driver's license. I must have an ID to go through and fly an airplane. I must have an ID to walk into a school. If there ever was a time that we needed voter ID laws, it was what we saw in 2020. But this bans voter ID laws. Understand the motive behind this. It bans witness signature on or notarization requirements for absentee ballots. It forces states to accept absentee ballots received up to 10 days after Election Day, as long as they are postmarked by Election Day. It allows campaign staffers and political consultants to pick up and deliver absentee ballots. Can you see how this thing is going to come undone? There will never, ever, ever be a real, fair, legal, and legitimate election ever again. The accuracy of voter rolls will now be compromised since states automatically register individuals. And I already talked about this, the DMV, Department of Corrections, welfare offices, immigration rolls. It doesn't require that they're citizens. I can go on and on and on. This is called H.R. 1. It has already passed the House. Had zero bipartisan support. Zero. This is a power play. And I want you to know that I'm concerned about it, and we need to reach out to our senators. Chances are the Senate will not pass it. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't be ticked off as we the people, that we shouldn't call our senators, call our representatives, and tell them this is a travesty, this is corruption, this is this swamp grabbing power more than ever before. we still should reach out to our senators. But I'm going to tell you that that this is not going to stop. The next thing that happens is the Second Amendment, free speech, etc., etc., etc. And so it's going to be tough to pass the Senate, because even though it's 50-50 in the Senate, they need 60 votes. So I want to give you a heads up on that. This is it. Joe Markowitz, your Liberty Dispatch. I want to give you a heads up for today.